This is Tristan Schoen from Author and Punisher. You are listening to The New Scene.
Hello, everybody, and welcome to The New Scene. I am your host, Keith, and we are back with another brand new episode. And on the show this week, we have Mike Mare of Dälek and Holy Scum. We know Dälek. We love Dälek. Mike has been with them since the early 2000s doing live guitar and soundscapes, and also now production since they came back in 2010 after the end of their hiatus. Mike is also vocalist of Holy Scum, who just put out an excellent new LP this year called All We Have Is Never. So we cover all things Dälek, Holy Scum, and a wide array of other topics. It's a great conversation, and that's coming to you shortly. But first, here's how you can support The New Scene. Rate us 5 stars on Apple Podcasts and Spotify. Subscribe to our YouTube channel. We have a main channel with full video episodes and a clips channel with clips from select episodes. We have shirts for sale at our store at Deathwish Inc. Pick one up. It's a great way to support the show. And you can follow us on social media at New Scene Pod. Also, don't forget to support Iodine Recordings. Stretch Armstrong is having a Rocktober sale. That's 25% off all Stretch Armstrong merch at the Iodine Recording store at Deathwish Inc. Make sure you head over there and pick something up. The sale ends on October 31st. Use code ROCKTOBER at checkout. Drought and Common Sage have tour dates kicking off October 18th in New York City. For a full list of dates, check their page or the Iodine Recordings page. I'll be at that New York City date for sure. For more information, head to iodinerecordings.com, sign up for the newsletter, and you can follow the label on Instagram at Iodine Recordings. And say hello to this month's sponsor, Evil Greed. In addition to their online store, Evil Greed offers tour merch, merch handling, and logistics services for tons of bands. They also offer merch and distribution solutions for bands and record labels in Europe and the UK. Evil Greed has a carefully selected roster of artists and labels in their online store. They offer very reasonable worldwide shipping rates specifically to the UK and the USA. All right, so let's see what we've got going on at evilgreed.com. We've got featured music, AFI, the new AFI LP, Silver Bleeds the Black Sun, Blood Incantation, Starspawn LP, Speed. I've heard a lot about Speed lately, All My Angels, 12-inch. We've got a whole set of new merch from Balance and Composure. We've got new merch from Frontierer. We've got new repress LPs from Frontierer, Orange Mathematics. Oh, that looks like it's sold out. We've got American Nightmare, Year 1 25th Anniversary LP, up for pre-order. Evil Greed just released a new variant of Slip by Quicksand via Iodine Recordings, so make sure you go pick that up. There's also a new Incendiary merch drop, now available in Europe, so go pick something up. Make sure you check out the featured merch and featured music sections at evilgreed.com. There's new stuff up there every week. Sign up for their newsletter, and you can follow them on Instagram at evil_greed. Okay, so check back in with me in segment 3. We'll do a wrap-up of the conversation with Mike. We'll check in. I'll tell you everything that's going on. But right now, we are going to speak to Mike Mare of Dälek and Holy Scum. Enjoy. All right, we are here now with Mike Mare. Mike, welcome to the show.
Thanks. Thanks for having me.
Yes, it's great to have you here, Mike. You know, I met you fairly recently, and you're up to a lot of great things musically, Dälek, Holy Scum, and I want to talk to you about that and a lot of other things, Mike. But first, I want to ask you, how are you doing today?
Today, I'm doing good. You know, it's just getting through life, right?
Trying.
Sometimes it's like that.
Yeah, trying. It's been a day, like I was talking to you about earlier. So you're actually in Atlanta right now.
Yes, at the very moment I'm in Atlanta. Just been here for a couple hours now.
How long are you going to be there?
Leaving on Friday.
Okay. Do you travel a lot for work?
I do. Most of my work involves traveling. Yeah.
Okay. And you said you're in the photo business?
Photo business, produce photo shoots, work as an AD on commercials and things like that. So whatever that means to anybody. I don't know what it means to me sometimes.
Yeah. How did you get into that line of work?
Oddly enough, the very first Dälek tour I ever did almost 30 years ago, the cousin of one of the members worked in that industry, and we got off a tour and he's like, "You want to work?" And I was like, "Hell yeah." And then just have kept doing it ever since.
Nice. So when you're when you're doing a job like you are down there in Atlanta now, what exactly do you do? Like what kind of setup will you do? Tell us about it.
I mean, it's a lot of behind the scenes leading up to this, it just hiring people, putting together crews, finding locations, equipment, all that. And then when you get here, it's just running the day of show and keeping everything in check, a lot of keeping things on time. It's almost like tour managing, which is why I never wanted to be a tour manager.
Yeah, it's all the work and none of the glory.
Is there glory?
Occasionally. So will you actually scout out locations too?
Yeah.
How do you do that? Like if you're going to be in Atlanta, right? Do you have to go down there ahead of time to scout out locations? Like what do you do?
Sometimes, like it really depends. Sometimes you hire a local to do it because they'll be able to handle a lot quicker. Sometimes you go down a few days in advance and you scout locations, you know what you have, you talk to somebody in the area, then you go around and check out the places.
How do you feel about traveling for work? I used to do it all the time, constantly, and it was a little bit charming at first, and then I grew to really hate it. And I still don't like travel very much to this day. How do you feel about it?
I have a very odd relationship with travel. When I'm thinking about having to do it, I don't want to do it at all because I'd rather just be at home. But then once I am out of my house and traveling, I fall back into the rhythm, be able to do it. I actually was just having this conversation yesterday with my mother because I had been home for almost 2 straight weeks. And I was like, I love that. But then at a certain point, I'm like, I need to change the scenery right now, So I do, I look forward to it. But at the same time, I also really look forward to sitting in my own home.
That's the best. That is what I look forward to. So you grew up in New York City?
I grew up in Queens, born and raised in Queens. I've lived in 4 of the 5 boroughs. I'm sure you can guess which one I haven't lived in. It's the one that most people haven't lived in.
Is Staten Island one of the boroughs?
That is the one.
That's the one, right? I just had this conversation with someone else on the show. I couldn't remember. I could not remember. I was like, wait. Is Long Island a borough? No. Wait, and then we went through the whole thing. I'm not going to do that again. Don't worry, everybody. Yeah, Staten Island is strange. Have I ever been there? I don't even know. I couldn't even tell you.
I have a lot of family there, so I've been there a lot over the years.
How was it growing up in New York City? Is it crazy? I mean, maybe not because it's all you knew, but I grew up in a pretty much a regular suburb and went to Catholic school and all that stuff. So the idea of growing up in Queens is like crazy to me. How was it for you?
I mean, like you said, it's like you don't think anything else about it because it's just what you have, and it's like it's still. But the only thing is that still, when you talk about the city is Manhattan. The other boroughs are not the city. Like you're always like, I'm going to the city because you're going to Manhattan. Like, Brooklyn is not the city. Queens is not the city. The Bronx is not the city, even though it's all the city. But I always said that I wish I could have that feeling of coming to New York for the first time.
Yeah, it's a trip because I came here. I moved here in 2012, but I had visited here plenty of times before that, and it's always so overwhelming because you're always getting off the train at Penn Station, and then you come upstairs and you see Midtown, and you're like, oh my God, like what is this? And that's not reality for most people, at least most people I talk to. But now it's so weird. Like now that I've been here for, I don't know, 10 plus years, it's just like the magic is still there, but you like understand the city now. You like know where you are and where things are. And that's crazy. I never thought that would be a thing.
Yeah, you see, like that's the weird thing for me is the magic of New York is gone for me. Like I don't live there anymore. I mean, I'm not far, but my one thing over the past few years was like I don't want to be in New York anymore. I just need to change the scenery. I need something different to kind of inspire ideas, to just like inspire myself to want to leave the house. And so when I still come back to the city a lot because family, friends, work. I'm from there. My family's still there. But beyond that, I really don't look to spend any time there.
Where do you live now?
Asbury Park, New Jersey.
Ah, okay. Yeah, well, I'm surprised I see you as often as I do living that far. I like that. That's dedication.
It's not that far, and then it's like I'm always around, so it's like, if something's going on, go to like last time I saw you were playing, and I was like, I knew nothing else about the show, but I was like, I'm here, I'm going to go to the show.
Nice. Yeah, it's I was in Asbury Park recently. I don't know if I've ever been there before, but I went with my girlfriend to Asbury Lanes because Sunny Day Real Estate was playing, and we got to like walk around. June?
Get out of here.
Yeah. Did you miss it?
I missed that.
It was like May or June. One of those.
I might have been on tour.
Yeah, because that was like the only date they were playing around here, I think. And I was like, I gotta go. I have to. Yeah. But yeah, Asbury Park is nice. I like it there. Are you happier there now?
I'm very happy there. It's a totally different vibe, and like in the winter, spring and fall, it's the winter is really a ghost town, and that really regenerates everything I need in me to get through the other seasons. So it's awesome there.
Nice. So I'm always afraid if I move out of New York, I'll like dry up and become boring or be really bored, or I don't know. Just like I don't ever want to live. I don't ever want to leave here. Maybe that'll change one day, but that's how I feel. Like, how do you feel about it?
I mean, I've just the past few years done everything I can to leave there. I would say if my family wasn't there, I probably would never go back unless it was doing some sort of, music thing. I would probably never go back.
Is there anything specific that made you come to those feelings, or had you just been there long enough? Or
I think it's just a lifetime of being there, and it's also like it's this weird thing I had of ideas becoming stale. Like you just said, you're afraid of that. So like nothing there really makes me. What's the word I'm looking for? I guess I don't really get excited by anything going on there. It's like, oh, okay, yeah, this is, repetitive. I know what to expect here. This is what's going on. And it's not even about, it's not what it was when I was younger, because every generation says that. It's like we just hold on to what we liked when we were kids because everything's brand new. It's like you didn't experience anything. So of course it's better because that's what you knew it as. And then you get older and the younger generations have their thing and you don't connect to it. So it's not that. It's just, I don't know. I guess New York just wasn't giving me anything inspiration wise. It's like, I just felt very flat there. And I still do. When I'm there for more than a few days, I'm like, I need to get the hell out of this place because it's just destroying any kind of inspiration I have. I know that's weird. A lot of people will be like, what the hell's wrong with you?
Well, I mean, you had been here most of your life, so I get it. Like, I wouldn't have wanted to stay in the town I grew up in my entire life because I'm sure the inspiration would have run out at some point. And if I felt the way you did, I would want to move too because that inspiration is important. That's how I think of things. That's how I write things. You get that feeling. You need that.
Yeah, totally.
Yeah.
It's the same thing why I like working like on these photo shoots is because if I do just music all the time, I know me. And again, my ideas get really stale. But then when I throw myself into another environment, it somehow helps me realize how I should approach something in a different way because it's taking me out of my little bubble, my world, my crew of people I collaborate with. Even if it's someone new that I'm collaborating with musically on some creative project, when I'm doing a photo shoot, there's so many people involved doing so many different things that it makes me, someone could be steaming a dress for a shot. And it's just like, I would have never thought of doing that way. And then I somehow relate that to something musically and take it into that next time.
Nice. Yeah, I like that. Has music been something you've always been interested in?
Yes, it is something that's been a part of my life forever.
How about your trajectory with music? Like, what were you into when you were younger? What grabbed you? Like for me, I don't know. I've gone through a lot of different phases. Alternative, new metal, hardcore was probably the biggest for me, because once I found that, it took me in directions for a really long time. How about for you?
For me, growing up, as a teenager, of course, there was a lot of punk and hardcore. Being a teen in the 90s, of course, you're influenced by all the alternative going on then. It was inescapable. Even if you didn't want to hear it, you heard it. And even when you don't like it, it's still doing something to you. Growing up, I will say music was not a big thing in my house. There was a piano in my house that my sisters both played. My mom had played. And my mom had asked me if I wanted lessons as a kid, but my sisters were taking lessons. So I was like, I don't want to do that. And as I got older, I was like, I wish I had taken lessons. But at the same time, I'm really happy I didn't, because I don't think I would have approached music the same way if I had been taught how to play music properly, or the quote unquote correct way,
Right. When I took bass lessons, I went to like the store where the teacher was, and they were teaching me out of the book, and that just did not work for me. That was not the way for me.
I remember I took one guitar lesson after I'd been playing guitar for like a year, and I went in there and the guy's like, "Oh, you're holding the guitar wrong. You're holding the pick wrong. You're doing this wrong." And I was like, "All right, fuck you. Sorry. Am I allowed to do that?"
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, where did you go to shows? Were you into like hardcore and stuff when you were young? Like, what were you up to?
Yeah. So of course, it was like growing up in the city at that time. There was an awesome spot called Bond Street Cafe. It was such a random place to have shows, but it was amazing on Bond Street. Then there was CB's, ABC No Rio, and anywhere else that was having any kind of show anywhere. And then there was this amazing venue, not so amazing, but it really had an impact in that kind of world in Queens called Castle Heights.
Nice. When you're younger and going to shows, right? Can you go to other boroughs and be okay? Or would you get in trouble? Like, let's say you're in Queens, right? And you want to go to like Brooklyn for a show. Can you just go and take the subway and be fine? Or are you allowed to go from borough to borough? Because I'm thinking like when I'm young,
Are you thinking like Warriors?
I'm thinking like my parents wouldn't want me to go too far, or I'd have to be home before it was too late, like that kind of thing.
Yeah, there was always that. But then if you were, I guess, one of the kids that actually listened to your parents, that's one thing, But like both my parents grew up in Brooklyn, so it's like my mother very much so was like, she's like, go out and explore, go do stuff, and just be you and do you.
So it sounds like you were the type of kid who kind of did what you want.
To a degree.
See, I like that, because I was so obedient as a kid. I was like so afraid of getting in trouble or taking any risks or anything like that. I kind of wish that I hadn't done that.
I always said my father probably should have beat me a little more. It was, I definitely wasn't obedient. Doesn't mean it benefited me in any way. Probably made some things a little more difficult at times.
Right. So how old were you when you started playing in bands?
I probably was 14. I think the first band I got in was 14. Like a bunch of friends I had were like, "Oh, we're starting this band. It's going to sound like Minor Threat and all this." And I was like, "Awesome." I was like, "Let's do this." And I show up and they wanted me to sing. The first song they made me sing was Jane's Addiction Mountain Song. I was like, "This isn't Minor Threat."
Did it ever end up sounding like Minor Threat?
No, it never went beyond that one day.
What instruments do you play? I know you're vocalist in Holy Scum, which we're going to talk about that, and it sounds like you play guitar too. Like, what's in your repertoire?
I started with guitar, then would play guitar in punk bands growing up, then got disgusted by everything and realized that I just loved making weird sounds. That was really where my heart was at. So then just started processing the hell out of the guitar, then got into electronics through that. But guitar is really my main instrument, and it's actually how I got into Dälek too. And then in Holy Scum, I'll do synths and vocals, if you want to call them synths. It's more like soundscapes. But guitar is my main instrument.
Okay. So tell us about that. You said you were playing in punk bands and you got disgusted with it. So Why did you get disgusted with it? And then what did you do with guitar to get fulfillment out of it from there?
I got disgusted with it after going, back in the days when you were cold calling clubs and sending out cassettes and then trying to get a hold of someone and trying to get a house show or whatever. And, before emails were a thing, just like setting up this month-long tour. It was a 3-piece band. And one of the people in the band, after all this booking, and I had said, all right, this is what we're doing. It's like 2 weeks before we're leaving for tour. And one person was like, I actually want to be home on this date. And I was like, what? And I was like, all right, I'm done. I was like, I'm not doing this. And from there, I started a project called Destructo Swarmbots, which was just, the idea of it started with, okay, I'm just going to go out, play shows, find random places I can play. If I know someone in that city, I'll ask if they want to play. If they don't play an instrument, that's fine. If they just want to bang on a pot, I'm with it. So I started doing that. And then it turned into this kind of collaboration with several other artists that just, went on, but I would do a lot of it myself. And that was just essentially, just guitar feedback, noise. Sometimes the set would be a minute. Sometimes the set would be 20 minutes. There was one time I did a set with 2 other guys that I've collaborated with a lot over the years. And we were about to start playing. It was some noise festival in the Lower East Side. We were about to start playing. We had set up our equipment, and then some other band jumped up on stage and started playing. So then when they finished, we just walked up on stage, grabbed our amps, and left. And that was our set. It's still one of my most favorite shows I've ever played.
That's amazing.
I need to do that more often.
Yeah. Did you keep their amps?
No, they were our amps.
Oh, okay.
We had our amp set up because we were about to play, and then they jumped up and played instead.
Oh, okay. I see. Okay.
Next time I'll take their amps.
Please, yeah. So how much touring did you do in that band? Like how far out did you get?
Did a lot. It was like, I did one tour around the country by myself, which was absolutely awful. And then did a couple other loops in the US, mainly up and down the East Coast with a bunch of other artists. Was on this label called Public Guilt, which was based in Baltimore. And he was releasing a lot of really experimental stuff. So hook up with the bands on that label. We do these tours. And actually one of the bands on that label, Kareem Abdul-Babar, the bass player of that band, he played a couple shows with Destructo Swarmbots. And he said the way I played guitar was essentially I used it like a skateboard and just did kick flips on it.
That's the dream, though, to tour alone and be able to do it, because I've been in the situation you're talking about where you do all this work and you're breaking your back trying to book shows, and then people are just like, oh yeah, I can't do it. And that can end a lot of bands. That can sever a lot of relationships, because if everybody's not on the same page, I mean, I see why people have difficulties a lot of the time.
Yeah, it being in a band, as everybody knows, it's a really tough thing because there's a lot of personalities involved. Everybody wants to do something, but then when it comes down to it, everybody doesn't always want to do things. And then sometimes when you're all invested in it, you're all doing it. It doesn't mean you all want to be doing it the way you're doing it, though.
Yeah, I think I find that there's a weird disconnect. It's like there's the appearance of wanting to do something, and then there's actually doing it. And there's not a lot of actual doing a lot of the time.
For sure. And then, a lot of times I'd be collaborating with other people doing that project. And then it was like, this is so much easier if I just go by myself. So I would just go out by myself, and then that's actually how I got connected to Dälek, is I just went out to help them on a week-long tour, driving and selling their merch. We got connected through a mutual friend. The DJ at the time happened to be a thief, and he rummaged through my bag and found a CD I made as Destructo Swarmbots. And we're just like driving somewhere, and all of a sudden it came on, and I was like, where the hell did you get this? And he's like, oh, I was going through your stuff and I found it, I was like, okay. And one of the guys in the group at that point, he's like, listen, we're going on tour in Europe in a month. Can you do it? I was like, yeah. And he was like, bring your guitar. And essentially I just opened up doing this noise set, and then would bleed into their set and play with them. And it just happened from there.
Wow, that's a pretty amazing way to end up performing with them.
It's totally random. Like when we met, I didn't even tell him I played music. There was no conversation about that. I was just like, yeah, I had gotten off a really crappy Destructo Swarmbots tour by myself. And I was like, oh yeah, I'll go do it. I have no problem. And then it just turned into a lifetime with them.
Wow. When was that? How long ago was that?
That would have been late. No, it was not too long after 9/11. So early 2002.
Oh, that far back. Okay.
Yeah.
How about in your life? I'm always curious about this with people. Did you only want to do music? Was that all you were focused on? Did you have like any other plan for yourself? Like, oh, I'm going to go to college or I'm going to work this kind of job or anything like that?
I did want to be an astronaut at one point.
Yeah?
I did.
Did you take any steps towards that?
Yeah, I watched the movie The Right Stuff as a kid. Beyond that, like I was like, no, I didn't take any steps. Like once I found music, that was the end of everything. It was like this is the path I'm going, much to my parents' dismay. And then to appease them and make them feel better, I went to culinary school so that they get off my back. And the day after I graduated culinary school, just like wound up being on tour forever.
So you hook up with Dälek and you're playing guitar for them. How did those first shows go? Like, did you have to practice with them, or did you just kind of do your thing and we made it work? Like, how does that work?
How that worked was those days, it was literally for their set, I would play guitar. If it was a 20-minute set, 20 straight minutes. If it was an hour-long set, straight for an hour. It was just nonstop guitar playing, making these soundscapes. And then one of the Octopus, who used to be one of the producers, he would be live mixing it. So I would just be doing this processed guitar, and then he would be bringing it in and out of the song. So I just would play nonstop, and then he'd come in. And if it was something that wasn't working, he pulled it back out. It's just like there was no practicing. The one rule we always had in practice was like, know what you're doing. If you don't, you just get unplugged.
Ah, did that ever happen to you?
No, but we still hold that rule very strong. It's like everything. It's like, we've done a bunch of records, like, with other artists like Anguish, which was us with Mats Gustafsson and, Joachim from Faust. And it's like everything was recorded live. And, it's just this, we have this expectation of each other. It's like, you do this, so show up and know what you're doing. It's like we expect that of each other. It's like, just like, if you're going to practice on your own, that's great. But, life is busy. So just know what you're doing.
How was it touring with Dälek, in those days and through the 2000s? Because I've actually heard of Dälek more through the scene, meaning like the hardcore punk scene. And I think, did you tour with, was it ISIS?
Yeah, it was ISIS. Toured with everybody. Like back then it was like, there was never saying no to any tours. Like there was just always on the road. Like we're, just like most bands, when you're touring, especially for that long, you have a home, but you're homeless for the most part.
Yeah. And how was it? Like, how were the shows? How was the reception? I mean, I guess it depends, but I'm just curious because I can't think of a lot of other hip hop based acts like Dälek who have that kind of existence where they can be in different scenes like that.
I mean, it was interesting. It's like, at that point, it was like, it was just heavy. So anyone who was into heavy music connected with it. And it's actually, there was the one downside of it was, you heard this a lot, and it's kind of offensive. People would be like, I don't usually like hip hop, but I like that. And it's like, well, you probably usually don't give hip hop a chance. It's like you probably just haven't actually sat and listened to hip hop, but no, the crossover, it's like, once the bands latched onto it, then the fans latched onto it, and it just went from there. I mean, of course there were plenty of times you play a show and like everybody left the room. Like, what the hell is this? It still can happen.
Yeah. ISIS used to do that in the early days.
Everybody's done that.
Did you ever see ISIS in the really early days? Like, I guess Demo and Mosquito Control. They were the loudest band ever, like more louder than anybody, and they would clear the room.
I think the first time I saw them was Celestial. I remember it was at CBGB's, but I think it was Celestial. Might have been Mosquito Control. I'm not sure.
They're a great band. How was it touring with them?
Awesome, because they're great guys. It's awesome to like. It's awesome when you can tour with people that it's like you actually get along with, and like they're just genuinely good people. People that you're 20 years later still friends with and still talk to. And still see each other. And it's like, oh, like nothing. It's like, oh yeah, great scene.
Yeah, I like that. So Dälek, you toured with them through the 2000s up until 2011?
2010 is when Dälek went on like a quote unquote permanent hiatus. And then me and Dälek were working on a project called Master Bass, which was all electronic, like, growing up in New York and Will growing up in New Jersey. It's like in that era, you just like, one of my favorite styles of music is freestyle. It's like you're inherently just grow up surrounded by this amazing pop dance music. And so like we just started making music in that vein, and we're collaborating with different singers, and then we started just writing more what we hear as pop based music. We did that, but then just life got busy and get involved in other projects, and just things fall to the wayside. But sometimes me and Will still sit around the studio and listen to those songs we wrote.
Why that permanent hiatus? What was going on?
It was just a time that, like, the Will and the Octopus were the main, was how Dälek started. And it was just like, it hit a point where it was just like, this makes sense to just end right now. And then Will went on to do his solo thing, Iconoclast. Octopus went on to do a bunch of other stuff, MRC Rhythms and all sorts of other projects, and producing so many artists. It was just a natural progression of where it came to. And then in 2015, Will was like, I want to do Dälek again. And he was like, it only makes sense for you to be my co-producer with it. And I was like, hell yeah, I want to do this. So that's, after that, that's how we get to this point now.
So when you come back and you're co-producer now, does that differ from your role before? Like, are you doing more? What are you doing exactly?
Yeah, because in the past on other records, I just came in and played guitar, and like, it's like you just play a bunch of guitar through all these crazy effects. Then you go back and find these pieces like, that's cool. Let's build something from that. It's like, we have this song, this part works in there. So it's like, instead of just doing that, then it went like, it was from the ground up, me and Will sculpting these songs.
Nice. That must have been exciting, right?
Yeah, totally. It was like me and him had been making music for years anyway, like outside of Dälek. So we had already been in that world. We just weren't writing Dälek specific tracks.
And what do you use to build those tracks? Like, what is your method? How did you learn it? I'm curious about that whole angle of things. What software, like what programming, like tell us about the process.
It's always been Ableton Live. Ableton Live has been the software that I've been using forever. Like, I started with other ones, Digital Performer before that. But then once Ableton Live came around, we've been using Ableton Live since like the first version. And it's just, everything was done in there. So I got tired of carrying effects pedals on tour. So I would clone my effects pedals with effects in Ableton, just so I didn't have, it was all about bring less on the road to make life easier, and just like have everything there. So it's like, it was always about just coming up with these guitar tones, recording them, then it would be chopping them up. Will would have these beats or something like that, and then just mixing it up. And that's how it's been forever. And we're almost done writing a new record now. Well, we'll see if it becomes a record, but we're writing stuff, but writing in a much different way now.
How so?
I'm not going to talk about it just yet. But it's not that we did not write it the way we have written any other record.
More will be revealed, everybody.
We've been having a lot of fun with it, and I guess the best way to put it is we went back to the roots of how both of us in our own music journey started making music.
I like the sound of that. How long has Ableton Live been around? I first heard of it in like 2010 or 11.
Damn. I mean, I will not be accurate, but I'm going to have to say at least been using that since 2005.
It's been around that long? Hold on.
It might be around longer, but I could be totally wrong. I'm like 2005, 2006, I'd say we're definitely using it.
I'm going to look it up.
Yeah.
When did Ableton Live come out? 2001. Wow. Oh, I didn't know it had been around that long. Yeah, I've been saying for years I'm going to learn it. I did download it, and I have not learned really to do anything yet. So, I think if you hit tab, you switch between session view and something else. I figured that out.
Not anymore.
Oh, that's done now already. I got to watch a new tutorial. No, I would like to be able to record the guitar and put like programmed drums over it for band stuff. I'm gonna figure that out one of these days.
It's easy. You should do it.
Yeah, it's gonna happen. It has to. So your band, Holy Scum.
Yeah.
How did that come together? Is everyone based in the UK except you?
Yes.
So how does that work? How did you guys hook up?
So Pete, the guitar player, he had started Holy Scum with a couple of guys from the band Nod. And then during the Pete used to play in a band called Action Beat. And Action Beat opened up for my band Destructo Swarmbots on a tour of the UK once years ago. So, and we remained friends over the years and would see each other, blah, blah, blah. During the pandemic, Pete hit me up randomly. He's like, I got this project. Would you be into doing vocals? And I was like, oh, this is weird. I've never done any vocals that Pete would be aware of. Why would he ask me to do vocals? And I was like, yeah, sure. And then he sent me these tracks and I was like, all right, the vocals I did on that first record were just barely vocals, just so heavily affected and processed in so many layers. On that, I also did synths, which he hadn't. Nobody asked me to do it, but I was like, I'm going to do this too. And then I did add some guitars as well. But the big thing was vocals. So it was just like, then that spawned. We did a couple tours. Then there were a couple tours I had to bail on because I couldn't do it because I had things I had to deal with at home last minute. And they would just have other people because that was the thing. They always had different people doing vocals for them. So me not being there, sure, couldn't do the songs we did on the record, but I don't know that we could do them anyway. Like we would try to do them when we played them live, but like it was never what they were on the record. We got close at some points. And then when it came time to do another record, we had thrown pieces back and forth over, sharing files that way. And then did maybe two records, one record that was getting mixed, one record that was just a thought. A lot of music was written and just totally scrapped. And then Pete had this idea of finding this studio that you could also live in while you're there on this island in Scotland. And he was like, let's do this. And we're like, let's do this. And we just went in there and they had sent me a bunch of tracks that they had been thrown around in their rehearsal room. They're like, oh, here's some ideas. And it's funny. I just went back and listened to those rehearsal demos they sent me like 3 days ago. And I was like, oh, wow, some of those songs actually turned into something in the studio and were recorded because we just went in and then just did everything live in the studio for this last record and kind of went more song structured. First album was more just noise, chaos. And then, this album's definitely, there's more meat to it.
Yeah. So how was it recording vocals that first time? Had you done anything like that before?
I mean, I sang like in the punk bands growing up. I would sing in those bands. Then did some vocals. Actually, in the pandemic again, did this band called Common Cruelty, which was like a cast of characters from other bands. Like a couple of guys from this band, Ghost Cube, and we were just same thing, just sending files back and forth. And did some vocals on that, which were totally different style of vocals than what I do with Holy Scum. But the newest record with Holy Scum, it's like just going in there, like we had to strip back all the effects because we were doing it in a live room, and they wanted me to do vocals as we were hashing out these songs. And it was like, if I have all these vocals, it's just going to be feeding back everything and it's going to screw everyone up. So it was like, I guess I got to do this as dry as possible, which was really making me uncomfortable at the moment, but it worked out.
It sure did. Yeah, I love the record. All We Have Is Never is the new LP, and it just came out June 5th. So everybody make sure you check it out. Yeah, that, okay. So we recorded the Memory Entry EP sort of live. Like we played live and captured the drums, then we did some guitar overdubs, then I went back and did vocals. But if I had to just sing over it while we were playing that first time we recorded, I wouldn't have wanted to do it because it was such a struggle, and it is still a struggle to, because I've done backups in bands, I've done backup screams, I've done backups live, I've been in a band where I sang and did a little bit of yelling. But doing this now, doing what I'm doing now, and learning to play it live and conserve your voice and all that stuff is a real challenge. How was it for you? Like, how much of a challenge was it for you?
In the recording studio,
Yeah.
it was a massive challenge for me, and mainly just to get out of my own head, because it was also the first time I had done anything like that sober. So, like, I had recently, it had been maybe about a year. I hadn't had a drink or anything like that. So it was like all of a sudden doing this, I was just overwhelmed by being self-conscious about everything I was doing. And you're just like, well, I've got to do this, and they're all encouraging me to do this. So here goes nothing. And I definitely hadn't sang like that in a long time. So by day two, even the guy from the studio who was recording, he was like, all right, the biggest problem I see here is he's going to have no voice in another day. And then we're all up shit's creek. So we kind of finessed the process a bit. And of course, a lot of times there's like, as we're hashing out these ideas, it's just like making up words. So then at the end of the day, I'd sit there, rewrite a lot of the words. The next morning, first thing in the morning, do a fresh take on the vocals, and then just go from there.
Mm. So you were newly sober when you were recording it. When was that? What year?
That would have been 2020. What's 2025 now? So that would have been 2024.
Okay. Are you still sober?
Like June 2024. Yes.
You're still sober?
Yeah.
I'm also sober. I have been for a while. What made you get sober? Like, what was going on with you?
I wanted to do something different, honestly. Like, I literally just woke up one day. I was like, I'm just going to, I need a break. You live a lifetime of just like having the opportunity to just do whatever the hell you want. And, nobody tells you not to, it's like you're just able to do that. And then it was like, I had left New York for, I don't know, a year and a half, and came back. And I actually have been saying that New York made me sober. I was like, I don't want to be here, and not be sober right now. And it sobered me up. And it was one of those things that as every day went on, I was like, wow, I just feel so incredible that I don't want to stop this.
Was like drinking or anything else a problem for you?
Oh, drinking. Yeah, sure. I wouldn't say it was a problem, but it was. Yes.
Okay. Cause like for me, it was just a slow and steady decline for years. Like I never felt comfortable going out or being around people, still don't. So I drank and got high to make myself want to do that. I would say that was the primary reason. So when I stopped, and it was a real struggle to stop because by the time I got to the end of it, I was in really bad shape, like probably not much time left on earth.
Yeah.
So when I stopped, I had to figure out how to live all over again. And I eventually figured out that creative pursuits are that's all I want to do. That's what keeps me sane. I just want to be working on stuff constantly. So I wasn't in a band for a while. So I had to my first sober show was just like a few years ago. So I had to do that for the first time. I had never been to a band practice sober. I had never played a show sober. So 2 years ago, I was in my first band again, and I had to play live sober for the first time. And I was like, it was one of the scariest things I've ever done. And then I don't know. There's a lot of stuff you have to figure out how to do sober, and it's difficult.
Yeah. No. This past May and June did a Dälek tour, then did a Holy Scum tour, and that was the first touring I'd ever done sober. And I wasn't even thinking about like, oh, I might drink, because that's not even a thought in my head. I was like, what if I don't enjoy this? And it was always there was always nerves. And it was like, I'd always have a drink before I got on stage, because it was like, oh, it helps me calm my nerves. It never calmed my nerves. I just wanted to drink. And, then I realized like these two tours, I was like, wow, I never had a moment of nerves. And I was like, holy crap, I never got to enjoy this in this capacity. And it's kind of amazing. So
Yeah, yeah, that's interesting. It's like, oh no, what if I wake up after 20 years and I hate touring and playing music? What am I going to do? No, but it's so great to be present now, because I would be the guy who, like, I'd get drunk at the show, play the show, and then I would disappear for the night. Like, you wouldn't find me. I would be off getting into trouble. And I don't do that now. Now I'm present. I'm focused on playing the best show that I can, and I can even hang out sort of late and whatever. I don't know. But where am I going with this? Hold on. I'm gonna put a cap on this.
yeah,
I enjoy it more now. I enjoy everything more now.
yeah, no, that's the bottom line. And I really enjoy my sleep now.
Yeah. All right. When before I got sober, it would always be like this sobbing tale of like, I can't sleep and I can't sleep. It was because I was high. It was because I was high and drunk all the time. The second I got sober, my sleep schedule was fine. Well, how about for
Yeah.
you?
No, it's like, I mean, it took a bit of time. I'd say like after about 6 months, all of a sudden I was like, holy crap, everything's incredible, and it's like my sleep. I think that's why I wouldn't change anything now, is because the way I can sleep now, I've never slept good in my life. And all of a sudden I know how to sleep. And it's like, I don't ever want to lose that.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, that's all right. There is the temptation to torch it all sometimes just because it would be fun, right? Like, oh, it'd be fun to go out in New York City and be out till 4 a.m. again and hang out with weirdos and get into bad situations. But is it worth throwing away everything I've built up for the past X amount of years? No, it is not. So as long as things keep going the way that I want them to, as long as I keep getting all the things I always wanted to do but could never accomplish because I was always too messed up, I'm going to stay on this path because everything is better. Do you find that too?
Absolutely. And the thing is, you can still go out till 4 a.m. hanging out with weirdos, getting into trouble if you wanted to, sober.
Yeah, I didn't realize that. Like when I go back to Philly, my friend works at this bar that I used to always go to. So I'll not that I get into any trouble, but I'll go there and stay out till like 12 or 1, and it will remind me of the old times, and I'm like, okay, like I can still do stuff. Like
Yeah.
I'm
But
allowed
it's
to.
like, why do I want to?
Yeah, I mean, so only sometimes, only sometimes. So,
Yeah.
the new Holy Scum record, is that the one you were recording in Scotland on the
That's
island?
the one we recorded in Scotland. Yeah. We spent 6 days, 6 days, I think, in the studio. Like, there was nothing there. It's like, it was a 17-hour journey for me. It was a 17-hour journey from them from Manchester because they drove to a ferry and whatever. And then you get to the island, you got to drive another 45 minutes to get to the studio. And it's literally like at the end of a dead end road on this island. And, it's just hills, water, and it was constant. The sun didn't completely set at night. And it was epic. They had this big window, like sheep would occasionally walk by, a dog came around. One time, some guy stuck his head in the window and asked for somebody. We're like, all right, this is how we die. Um, it's like there was nothing to do but just kind of be there. And it was like we would work 10-hour days, and then he would leave the studio, but we stayed there and we wouldn't record. But he's like, if you want to work on anything, go for it. We didn't work on anything. We just kind of hung out and whatnot. So that was good too, because we had actually never sat in a room making music together. Because when we went on tour previously, we did that record, sending files back and forth. Then we had one rehearsal before going on our tour. And then we did the tour, and then we never got back in a room. We never sat and made music together. So that was the first, time we had a chance to do that. And now we already got the ball in motion for the next record. We just put some dates on the calendar to record. And this one will be a little different than that one in the way we approach it also.
Wow, I like the sound of where you recorded the record. Did you like that? See, I would like that because it means like there's no distractions. Like we just have to sit here and do this.
It was I would love to make every single record I ever make with anyone in that way. The only other time I had that opportunity is when we did the Anguish record. We recorded that at Joachim's studio. So Joachim from Faust has this amazing building in Germany. It's an old paper mill. And like he built himself an island that he never has to leave. And so we lived in his place with him. We were there for 4 days. And it was the same thing. We just like, that was different because we had our engineer with us. And so if we wanted to record at 2:00 in the morning, we recorded at 2:00 in the morning. And because we had such limited time, we just do it whatever we could. And it's like, it's a different kind of energy. Like, hey, let's get into a studio, make something. All right, great. We've got these songs. Let's hash them out over and over again. Let's go record them, do that. Hey, here's some parts. Let's do this back and forth. Like everything's got its own energy about it. But that just being secluded and just being with each other just changes it.
Wow. Yeah. Sounds like a lot of interesting adventures with recording with bands for you. Do you always make it work with your career and everything? Like it sounds like you can just always find the time.
I mean, everything, of course, takes a lot of scheduling, and like my career, the thing that's usually mapped out the most is the music side. Everything else filters in around that, because tours are booked so far in advance. We do a record that's planned so far in advance. So it's like, I kind of know like, okay, this year and that year, I know what's going on. And then in between is when everything else gets filled in.
How much touring has Holy Scum done? And is it hard at all with them all in the UK and you here?
I mean, the only hard part is like there's been some offers to do something and it's like, well, it's not really that much money. So for me to fly over there to do that, it's like, yeah, that would be cool, but it's not really worth it. But at the same time, it's like they can just do it and just do a Holy Scum set. Now, I don't know. I think this record might have changed that whole dynamic because now it's actually more structured and we're all kind of like really digging that, and want to see where it can go. So it's a little different now. We were thinking about doing a tour this end of the fall this year, but we had decided not to do that. So we're just kind of feeling things out for next year. We want to do the right situations with touring, go out with the right bands, and that's the whole thing. It's like we're not 18, so just going. Everyone has responsibilities, so you can't just be like, all right, great, I'm going to go do this. It's like it takes a lot more planning.
Yeah, I haven't done a lot of touring, so I'm still the guy who's like, hey, we got a show offer in the Midwest. Do you want to try to like build 3 dates around it? And everyone will be like, maybe not. Why don't we see if we can do this instead? And I'm like, oh, okay. But at this age and where we are now, that's probably the right choice.
Yeah. Yeah. It's fun to just go and do it. But at the same time, it's like, oh yeah, everybody's got bills to pay. Some people have, mouths to feed. So
Exactly.
There's a lot more involved.
So with writing All We Have Is Never, you said, the creative process changed. There's like more song structure. How compared to Strange Desires? Were you just together working on the songs more, or did the process change when you're sending files back and forth? Like, how did it change?
I think with Strange Desires, it was like when Pete just dumped these files on me and like I just listened to them because I actually mixed that record too. It was like, and that was just from like, they had sent me a bunch of recordings they made in their rehearsal room. Everything was broken out, like all individual drum parts and everything, but it was in their rehearsal room. And that was just like, okay, what can we make with this that really has no end destination? We didn't know where it was going to live on a label or anything like that. We just kind of made this and was like, oh, and then lucky enough, Rocket Recordings was like, yeah, we want to put this out. We're like, freaking great. This is awesome, And so then, but again, same thing was like, we made this record never with an intention to have to do it live, It was like, live was always about just make some sort of blistering noise and just punishment,
Yeah. So, in working with Will and Dälek, how does it work nowadays? Since the hiatus ended and since you guys came back, like, will you just do a bunch of production and create a bunch of sounds and he'll pick what he wants to work with? Like, how does the creative process work?
See, with that, like me and Will used to do a project called Phil Jackson Heights. And that was essentially like how we would start coming up with ideas live. Is just like, because like even in Dälek sets, we used to open our sets when it was just me and Will. We would open our sets writing something live to open the set and then go into something. Start doing a live beat or something, other sounds, and just mixing it up. Sometimes we do the same thing, and something build from there. Funny enough, we've never taken one of those songs and turned it into a song on a record. But, then we would do that Phil Jackson Heights, and it was like me on doing guitar noise, him doing beats and different effects, and then doing occasional vocals. And that's how we would build something in the studio too. It's like, okay, it's time to write a record. Let's do this. Or we're just hanging out. It's like, hey, and we're just making music. And then all of a sudden it's like, oh, we have something here. Let's, keep working on this and finesse it and sculpt it a little more.
Yeah. So it sounds like you're pretty comfortable with experimenting live and doing stuff on the fly. Would you say that's true?
Very much so. It's actually, I prefer it that way.
Wow, the thought of that is giving me anxiety, because I'm not at a point where I'm comfortable enough yet to just do stuff like that. I used to be when I was young. Like, I remember going to a jam session at some random party and just picking up a guitar and playing, and the drummer playing and the bass player playing, and everyone was locked in and it was really good. I miss that. I'm not at that point right now, but that doesn't mean I can't get there again.
Yeah, I think it's the first time I ever did something like that was, so I used to sometimes perform in a group. I don't know, I must have been 19, that had an opera singer in it, this really incredible jazz drummer, the guitar player. I mean, he did incredible jazz guitar. I believe he was also a classically trained musician. And then there was a cellist, I think. And then I would come out in an Elvis costume and sing a version of Poison's Unskinny Bop like Elvis. And then I would do another song with them where I would just come out in a diaper and roll around like a baby. And the guitar player of that band, he invited me. He's like, hey, I'm doing this show. It was this place called the Internet Cafe on the Lower East Side. This might have even been the late 90s. Like 98, 99, maybe it was 2000, somewhere around there. And he's like, you want to play guitar? He's like, I'm playing, it's me. The only other player I remember is Daniel Carter. Daniel Carter is like an old school, New York jazz guy. And so I remember going there, I had my guitar, all my distortion pedals, and here I am entering this like quiet little cafe in this kind of, they're going to do this jazz scenario. And Daniel's like, all right, I forget what key, but he's like, all right, let's play in this key. And I looked at him, I said, what? He's like, I was like, I don't know what you're saying. I was like, play the note and I got you, I was like, but you tell me the note, I don't know this. And he was like, oh, you punk kids, And then I did it, and it was awesome. Like, we played I think we did 2 sets that night. 45-minute sets. And it was all improv. And I was like, this is incredible, And that was before I had started doing Destructo Swarmbots, just making noise and throwing my guitar in the air to see what kind of sound it would make.
Yeah, that's that's what I was going to ask you. Like, do you have to ask what tuning, or can you tell what key? I just play by ear still. I still don't know the name of one chord or most notes or anything. I just play by ear.
Yeah, I have a lot of friends I piss off because they talk to me. I'm like, I have no idea. I'm like, just play and I'll find you. Don't worry about it. It's like, and that's the beauty of it. Like, when you're comfortable with it, your mistakes become the next part. It's that's what improv is. It's like, there are no mistakes. It's just, that's what taking you to the next place. It's like everything's just taking you to the next destination.
Yeah, it's I love the idea of that, and I love the thought of being able to do that. And that's why I was fascinated when I had Aaron Turner on the show, and he was talking about sumac and just how they improvise and how they they just kind of come up with things on the spot. It's just a really fascinating process to me. It's almost like the galaxy brain next level of musicianship. Like, that's where you have to go, right? If you want to take it to the next level, it's just like a free-flowing improvisation thing. See what happens.
Yeah. No, I mean, that's what I still do at Dälek live, is the electronics. It's like, I don't want to just play what's on the record. It's like, it's really boring if it's like, oh, I'm just going to hit these pads and these keys on this synthesizer, and you're going to hear exactly what you heard on the record. So it's like, we want the live show to be different. So sure, there are certain parts that I'll always know I want to play because I like them. But the rest of it is it's just improvising as we play.
Yeah. So how much risk will you build in that situation? I'm sure there's certain tracks and certain sounds you need. What else will you do specifically to introduce something new and put some risk in there?
Sometimes put a random effect on something, like, just to see what will happen. Like that's the only kind of risk really when you're dealing with electronics. It's like or then we started talking about the parts of like, why don't we drop these sections out of the song and just build on that? There's all sorts of different ways of doing it. But the biggest risk is like, oh, I came up with a new sound today while we were traveling to our next destination. So I'm just going to do this and then manipulate this one in this song and see what happens. That's the risk, really. The bigger risk is the power going out in the venue.
Yeah, if that happens, everyone is screwed. When you're touring with Dälek, how many people will be out?
On the road?
In the crew. Yeah.
It's us two. These days, it's just us two. We don't travel with a sound engineer anymore. It's just us two.
That's got to be nice, right?
It is. I mean, it's like I'm just traveling with my best friend. It's like we're just hanging out. Like tour to us now is like, yeah, we're playing, but it's like there's been a few times our booking agent be like, hey, there's this offer for blah, blah, blah. And we're like, you want to go hang out there? It's like, yeah, let's go do that.
When you two are out, will you have a whole van or just an SUV? What do you do?
We fly.
Ah, so it's like a fly-in thing.
Just the two of us. Like we have our backpacks, carry our equipment, everything else provided by the venue. Like we're just like, this is what we need. And like this last tour, I started doing live guitar again. So I just had each venue provide a guitar for me, so I didn't have to carry it because I don't care what the guitar is because I'm just going to torture it anyway. So it's like we travel light, so we can cover more ground flying between cities than we can if we could cover more cities in 2 weeks. We do like a month-long tour in 2 weeks and not have to hit every tiny town in between.
See, that's nice. Back to what we were talking about in the beginning, right? You don't have to coordinate with like 5 people. It's just you and your best friend, and you can get shit done.
Yep, exactly. It's very simple.
I like that. That's how I like things. Well, let's recap. Let's tell people what's going on. We've got All We Have Is Never, the new LP from Holy Scum. I really dig it. I hope everybody else will check it out too. That just came out June 5th via Rocket Recordings. Is there any tours, any shows, anything coming up that we can talk about?
Oh, tours, everything right now. That way, Holy Scum, Dälek, it's all kind of like in a holding pattern. We have some stuff, but can't announce it yet. New music coming from both bands at some point in various capacities. I got another project that should be seeing the light of day any day with John Lamacchia from Candiria. Yeah? And Lamacchia and Julie Christmas. So me and him have a project that should be coming out sometime this year before the year's up. And just always getting involved in other projects. So like I collaborate with an artist in California, Neil Kendricks. We do all sorts of collaborations like museum installations, movie stuff. So just there's all sorts of stuff coming out, just everything. Nothing has a definitive time right now. And things that do, I'm not at liberty to talk about.
Okay. We're going to wait for more information to come out. I think there was a new Dälek single that came out recently, right?
Yeah. Right before we went on tour, we released a new song. Yeah.
The Essence.
Yep.
Oh, so Dälek working with the Ipecac again. That's cool, right? That's a great label.
Yeah. Yeah. Like, I mean, we never stopped working with them. We just did one random album with Profound Lore. But like it's always been Ipecac. I'm sure there's other labels, of course, because there's been so many other random releases and everything like that. So many labels, but it's always been Ipecac since the second album. Everything's been Ipecac.
Nice. They have good taste.
Yep. They do some good stuff.
Well, Mike, this has been great. I just want to say thank you so much for coming on the show. I dig all of your music. I'm looking forward to more. And thank you.
Thanks for having me, Keith. Been great talking to you. And I'm looking forward to seeing you again at a random show somewhere.
It's going to happen soon. It's happened enough times this year. It will happen again.
I'm sure it will.
And there you have it. Mike Mare. Excellent conversation. Glad I could get Mike on the show. I met him either last year or this year. I can't remember. But he's been to a couple memory entry shows. Glad I could get him on here to talk to him and get to know him better. Very talented. Very talented. Dälek we know and love. I'm looking forward to hearing more from them. Sounds like they might have something new coming out. They did release a new single this year, which is great. Holy Scum, if you haven't heard them, check out their album that came out this year. Another great band. He's also in Anguish. He's also in Death White. Did you hear about the collaborations he's got coming up too with John LaMacchia and Julie Christmas? He's up to a lot. And I didn't know he was sober too. You know, the next time I see him at a show, I'm going to say, hey, Mike, let's not get a drink. But that was a nice part of the conversation too. Always nice to meet fellow sober people. Great stuff. Thank you so much, Mike, for coming on the show. So let's check in. How are we doing? I am doing okay. I don't know. I feel off. The past 2 months haven't been the easiest. I don't know if it's a weather change thing or what, but I just feel run down and not as motivated as I usually do. So I'm dealing with that. But besides that, things are good. We have what may be the last memory entry show of 2025 coming up this Monday, October 20th. Friendship Commanders headline the show. We're direct support. And Nuclear Family Fantasy open the show. That's October 20th at the Wood Shop in Brooklyn, so come check it out. Speaking of memory entry, we played a couple weeks ago at Deep Cuts in Medford, Massachusetts. This was our first show in Massachusetts, and Deep Cuts is a great venue. Great food. It's a brewery, so great beer if that's your thing. Opening up the show was The Promised End. They're a hardcore band from up that way. Super nice people. Great band. Check out their new record. It just came out last year. It's called For the Buried and the Broken. Memory Entry was up next, and we played a decent show. There was only one video clip of us out there, but it's a new song, and I don't want to publish any new stuff until the record comes out, so there will be no clip of us. However, Teardrops headline the show. Teardrops is a fellow Iodine band. It features Jeb from There Were Wires and some other fine folks. Incredible band. Think hardcore, post-hardcore with a bit of a rock edge to it. It's pretty unique stuff. Check out their debut EP on Iodine Recordings. It's called Something to Cry About. Super nice people all around between everyone in The Promised End and Teardrops. Great show. Glad we got to get out of state and play a gig. So good times. Drove all the way up there, like 6 hours to play, got right back in the van, drove all the way back home. I didn't get home until like 4 a.m., I think, between getting back to the practice space and dropping everything off and taking the van back to the rental lot and then getting home. I'm a champion. I'm just a champion. I thought the drive was going to be harder than it was, but I got it done. And then I just slept pretty much the whole next day. You know, I'm going to be honest here. Booking out of state shows has been very difficult. I tried to book a weekend earlier this year, wasn't able to do it. I tried to book another weekend later this year, wasn't able to do it. I'm not getting responses, or there's too many bookings, or it's too close to where you need to be, but have not been able to do it yet. It is difficult, but a lot of more established bands that I've had on the show have said that it's been difficult for them too. So I guess us as a newer band, it would be even more difficult. We get plenty of local show offers. Booking out of state has been difficult. Stringing more than one date together has been difficult. But I am determined to keep doing it because this is what I do. You know, I've been in plenty of bands, but I have not been the de facto manager and booker for the band as well. But look, we've gotten some gigs. We've done Philly. We've done Massachusetts. I just got to keep plugging away and taking what we can and building up the audience and building up the band. I guess that's how you do it, right? So that is what I will do. And I'm happy that I actually have the opportunity to do it. I've got a music recommendation for you. Check out Washed Clean. That's the debut LP from Burial Waves. This is Jimmy Rhodes on drums. He was in Black Clouds. He was in All Else Failed back in the day. He was in Solar Powered Sun Destroyer. He was in Tony Danza Tap Dance Extravaganza back in the day. And Kyle Durfee is on vocals. He's the vocalist of Pianos Become the Teeth. This album is great. Think heavy, post-hardcore, touch of shoegaze, sort of hard to define, but 100% right up my alley. We listened to the record on the way up to the show a couple weeks ago and absolutely love it. So check it out. I'll add a track to the New Scene 2025 Spotify playlist. Make sure you find that playlist, save it, listen to it. I've got playlists for every year that the podcast has been active. That's where you can find all the music for the show. It is all there. It will not be in the show anymore because I've gotten 1 million copyright strikes, and I'm working on taking out every piece of music from the show that is not one of my own. Also, leave Apple Podcast reviews if you haven't. If you don't listen to the show on Apple Podcasts, you can still leave a review. Everyone who has an iPhone has a podcast app. Open it up, search the New Scene, scroll down a bit. You'll see the 5 stars. Just hit the 5-star button. You can write a review too. You don't have to, but just hit that 5-star button. We need a lot of Apple Podcast reviews. I want to try to get us to 400. You can leave reviews on Spotify too. Do that. There's a comment section in Spotify. Leave comments. Tell us if you like the episode. If you watch on YouTube, leave YouTube comments. Like all of this engagement, all of this stuff greatly helps the podcast. And do it if you feel like it. If you feel like it. I would like you to. So why not? That's it for this week. I'm back next week with a new episode and a new guest. And I will see you then.